What she told me is your mental transition is the most difficult thing. Physical
Okay.
transition is really easy. And now that I've gone through that process, I would just echo her words completely.
Hello, Prakriti. Thanks so
Hi.
much for joining. So, in this talk, in this PhD talk show, we will mainly focus about your career path, and maybe you can start with like how what you have done in your career path, and what are the things which are important following these things.
Okay, so I'll start with career path first of all. So I think my career path has been what a traditional BSc student adopts in science. Doing my formal training, everything is in chemistry. So my bachelor's in chemistry from Delhi University, then went to IIT Bombay to pursue an MSc chemistry. And how my interests were linked as in, so in my bachelor's also I was introduced to this topic of supramolecular chemistry, and I can talk a bit more about my research internships and all later. But through my internships and my research exposure, I was kind of introduced to this topic of supramolecular chemistry, and that mainly employs a lot of these non-covalent weak intermolecular interactions and all. So that was really fascinating for me to think and understand that. So what really happened that when I moved to masters, in the second year we had a chemical biology course, and biology was a place where I could feel all of those interactions fitting in, because essentially it's a system where you can look at a lot of those factors from the protein folding point of view, or even from say molecular recognition point of view. So I really liked that, like biology. And so what really happened that after finishing up my masters, I started applying for PhD courses abroad, focusing on US university. Applied to I think around 13, 14 of them. That was a time where I think our batch really suffered in terms of getting admission, but I got to University of Minnesota in their PhD chemistry program. So when I came to the US in 2017, and then I had to like pick my specific research interest, and then a committee was supposed to be allotted to you. My research interests
Okay.
were so vast that all of my committee members were from all different fields, like from materials, from biology, from polymers. So even there, I was not very sure what I would be going forward with. But in my BSc and MSc, I had worked a lot in some of these fields like organic chemistry, inorganic, and materials. So I kind of thought, okay, let's try and do something new. And then I went to biology, and especially I did a part of chemical biology and also focused on biochemistry as well in my PhD. So, and then finished up in 2022. During PhD, everyone starts thinking about their future career plans. And like any other Indian student like who goes to US, I was first inclined towards just doing a postdoc, completing my studies, and then coming back to join academia. But like after reaching US, in my first month, I came to know that not a lot of people, at least from my universities, would go for postdocs. So that was a surprising fact for me because I was not even aware of alternative career paths at that time.
Okay.
And so I think once I was more settled in my studies, I really started focusing on what would my next step be. And I think industry was something that appealed to me a lot. And going for especially a research and development career in industry, because there you still get to do cutting edge science research, but you're
That's true.
focusing your efforts on a problem which is more product oriented and which is more oriented towards solving an issue. Sometimes I feel academia is awesome, but you're just studying say one interaction from a very basic science point of view. But to understand that big picture of all of your efforts becomes difficult for in academia. So I thought, why not get the best blend of both? That's why I thought of going for industrial R&D, in which
Okay.
you can still do cutting edge research, but you are more in an industrial environment. And so another part I would like to add, maybe it's a follow-up question, but then in my fourth year, I joined SciROI, which is the Science and Research Opportunities in India, like in fourth year of my PhD. So I worked for 1 year as the side volunteer, and my whole motive to join that organization was to understand or make myself aware of all the science opportunities in India. And I had a particular interest in exploring in Indian R&D, in R&D and industry. So that really played out. Like I met a lot of people, made really good connections, and that kind of helped me get my, not in a way, but it really made my profile complete and helped me move back to India, which I did in June in 2022. Yeah. So now I'm currently in Bangalore, and I can talk more about my current position here.
Okay. Yeah, that's great to know. So one thing I was curious is like when you talked about your transition in India, how difficult or how easy or how was the transition like when you moved from US to India? Because that is something I think like most of us don't do. So how was this transition?
So what happened that when I was a Syra volunteer and I met someone who had moved to India a year back, and she was from my university and from
Okay.
a pharmacology program, and I asked her the same question, how your transition was. What she told me at that point, and at that point I was still in US thinking of transition. What she told me is your mental transition is the most difficult thing. Physical
Okay.
transition is really easy. And now that I've gone through that process, I would just echo her words completely. So
Okay.
mentally, when I took this decision around January 2022, December to January 2022, I was actively applying for both US and Indian jobs. And when I took this decision, I think I finalized in February end or March beginning. So at that time, yeah, there were a lot of points where I thought of going back, and it was really confusing situation in the family. But I think I kind of went ahead with it because this is something I would eventually have to do in my. I always wanted to do like any time in my life, and sometimes
Okay.
when you're staying in US, you just don't know when to take that step. So, and honestly, no one knows what's going to pan out in future. Some people
That's
might
true.
say you must have stayed a couple of years back. Maybe you should have earned more, taken experience. But then sometimes even that, when you're already in settled environment, then taking that step becomes really difficult. You want to do, but now you're so spread out that you just can't, you can't summarize your whole life and move out from one country to another.
Okay.
So yeah, for me that transition step just came naturally, and honestly, I would say just preparing your mind because there will be a lot of peer pressure when no one is going to support you to take the transition. But there are some people who do. So just finding
Okay.
your supporters, and I would say just go for it, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
physical transition is not difficult. You can easily build everything, but you're just preparing yourself mentally that you need to take the step in life.
I
That
think
is
that's
the
a great summary because I think most of the times when we decide things, it's most of the time it's in mind.
yeah.
So that's a great thing to know. So I was also wondering like how was your interview process and application process in different companies when you applied in India?
Yeah, so for India, Um, like some positions I could see on LinkedIn, so I was applying to that, like Thermo Fisher and all. They reached out
Okay.
to me based on my LinkedIn application. And the current company I am in, I was following them for the past 1 year. So when they posted on LinkedIn, I applied as soon as possible. So like LinkedIn did play a role, but I would still say that networking is important, especially I think in Indian biotech sector. In US, I still feel that a lot of recruiters would follow LinkedIn properly. I would apply, and the next day I would know if they have noticed my profile or not. And honestly, I got back a lot of responses when I was applying to like US companies using LinkedIn.
Okay.
For Indian companies, I would still say that networking is a little bit more important because sometimes even for some of these big companies like Bristol Myers and Syngene, a lot of positions I would say they are filled internally. So the first email for a vacant position goes to their employees, and then only it
Okay.
goes outside company. That's what I have been learning also. So you should be actively involved in connecting with people who are working in similar profiles as yours. One thing that I did I think around that time I started looking for professionals who had a similar skill set as me. and who are
Okay.
working in Indian R&D. And I would just reach out to them that, hey, my profile looks very similar to you, and I just want to know how your experience has been. And I think out of four responses, three of them replied to me. So
Okay,
that
that's
was
great to
really
know.
great. Yeah, yeah. So people do reply, and LinkedIn is a very professional platform, and they know that someone else is also looking for a job. So
Yeah,
people do reply back to you.
yeah. I
Yeah. So
think
networking,
connection
I
is
would
the
say
key.
that it's important for Indian system.
So at your current position, like I think you are doing research more on the bio side, right? So can you give us a brief can you give us a brief update on that, and what are the key skill sets required?
Yeah. So my current position is as an R&D scientist in the company which is ImmunitoAI Private Limited. So what we are trying to do is some AI-guided antibody discovery. So we have
Okay,
this different computational pipelines in our company. And
okay,
then there is a way to validate those computational results. So my skill set, like since I am from a chemistry background and also diversified in PhD, I played the kind of two roles in my company. One side, I'm on one side I'm heavily involved in the lab side, so trying to validate some of those computational experiments results in our lab. And particularly since we are going to be designing antibodies, so we really help to kind of validate those computational results biologically and try to help them to build a pipeline that can encode for, say, protein-protein interactions or encode
okay.
for biology. So my work is on both the sides.
That's
Yeah,
great. So it's basically a broad range of skill sets from biology to chemistry,
yeah,
which is something in modern days. I think we all like encounter situations where we do multidisciplinary research, whether you are in academia or in the in the industry. Also, like
yeah.
talking about skill set, what do you think were one of the like few of the key skill sets when it comes to like soft skills?
Soft skills is something I would say that apart from your lab skills, which honestly a lot of people have, I think soft skills is that additional layer in your profile that will filter out from another pool of applicants. So, like throughout my studies in the US, this is something that I have really picked up a lot from there, like how to present and then especially how to present to a broader audience and
Okay.
presenting in short and long periods of time. Like you have to give a short presentation versus a long presentation. Yeah, how to capture your audience if they are from a diverse background and how to make a specific presentation. And then how to lead a collaborative team effort. Though in my PhD, I was the only one in my project. But still, I had groups in my lab who were all working on one protein or one drug target. So I knew like how our communication used to be through Slack channels or like
Okay.
group channels or anything. And then how you can organize like group meetings and share your common documents, share your data, how you can make these calendar invites and even reserve an instrument for that. So,
Yeah.
just having a calendar for each instrument and sharing it amongst all the users. So I just gave very specific, but presentation skills and then soft skills in terms of communication and then organization, like how to organize your work clearly. That is something. And then time management, like startup is something. Like my company is a really
Yes.
fast-paced company right now. Honestly, I think every day I have so many lists, a huge list of all the tasks that I have to do. You have to really prioritize your time
Yeah,
according to
that's
your needs.
true.
Like presentation is really important, and your time management is very very important. I would say data organization and talking to people and just being a team player because what I have realized is that now if I'm working with this team of people, everyone has the same goal that to think about a company. In
Yeah,
our
that's
PhD,
true.
it's not like that because everyone has their own project. You are mostly concerned about leading the progress in your project. But I like science. I can give suggestions to other people, but I would not be so much passionate about solve going into literature to solve their problem, right? So,
Yes.
but in a company, when everyone is working towards one goal, you are your overlap is a lot more in other sectors as well, and especially in a smaller company. Like everyone can just talk to anyone, and there's a lot of back and forth with our bio team, with our computer science team. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think to summarize it, it looks like as we all know that soft skills are as important as your like
Yeah.
hardcore skills from your subject.
Mhm.
So one question I have for you also is like how mentorship helped you, or how, like, whether you have taken an opportunity to mentor someone.
To mentor someone, okay. So I used to have some mentees in my graduate career, and I have mentored them both on the career side and also like in the lab side, trying to lead their projects to completion and help them, to summarize their, I would say, a 1 year project stint under me, something like that, and
Okay.
guiding their presentations, and also like at least my one mentee who now is at Caltech doing his graduate studies there. So we have had a very close relationship. Yeah. But having a mentor, so this is something I'm learning now more about, that people actually have proper mentors. But I personally, like I had my advisor, and I had my other collaborators with whom I was
Okay.
working, especially people with whom I was really close. I would get a lot of suggestions from them. But I didn't have like any mentor per se, or especially for all of these decisions that I've been taking. I sometimes feel I went ahead with it because I was convinced in my mind about it. And it's not that I didn't discuss my decisions, I did. And still I knew, I just thought, okay, this would be the best for me. But definitely I had group of friends and all with whom are not
Okay.
friends, like acquaintances and people who are in a similar field, and I would discuss some things with them. So this mentorship concept, yeah, my advisor has played a very important role. And even my advisors from India, like from my bachelor's and master's, though I'm not very close to them at this point. But I would say that, yeah, I'm learning this concept now, that for, especially I think in the West, people have proper mentors who guide their career
Yeah,
progression.
I
So
agree.
I'm learning more about this, but I would just honestly, I would talk to a lot of people. Even when I was a sci volunteer, I would just talk a lot and try to meet as many people as possible, ask all sorts of questions. And
Yeah,
that really
that's
helped me to make my decision.
yeah. I think that's the role of mentors. Like getting like advice from especially someone who's very experienced is very helpful. I think that's a great point
Yeah.
you pointed out.
And
So
one thing
one,
I just
yeah, go
want
ahead.
to add, that even when you take a decision, there is no right or wrong decision. You are the one who has to make your decision right. It all
That's a
lies in
great
your
point.
hand. Yeah, I think I go with this in my life, that there is no right or wrong decision. You just make your decision right. You have to prove
Okay.
yourself right.
I think
And
we
you go
can
with,
put that as a headline for this video. This is really, yeah, this is really great. So, like, I think, like you mentioned, that how busy you are, especially in the startup culture. There's a lot of work and everything. So, do you get any time to keep up to your hobbies, if you have any?
yeah, I think it has been just 1.5 months that I've started my job, so still adjusting a bit in
Okay.
this new culture and new life. But hobbies, as in, um, yeah, the reading is there, which I
Okay.
think I'm to write books for you. Sometimes I pick some books and then I just leave them. But I've been watching a lot of TV, honestly, a lot of movies, and
Okay.
going out, and especially here we have sports facilities, so playing sports and all is awesome.
Okay. That's
Like
great.
I also enjoy watching cricket a lot these days, so that I've been doing, though India lost really badly in the Asia Cup. But so doing all of that and movies, I don't get a lot of time, honestly, so whatever time I get, I think goes in my routine activities.
Okay.
So that is something. But yeah, like planning for trips and all, especially October is a time where in India you have a lot of time
Festive
off.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
planning
great.
for trips, that is something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great to know. So one final question is like, if you could do like whatever you have done in your life, do it all over again, would you choose the same path for yourself, or would you choose something different?
Okay, let me think. Um,
Okay.
Definitely, if I have to go back, and there is no one such path that exists, like generally. And this is one thing also I would like to mention. Like when I was young, I would always think about this one path that leads to not a success, not to a success, but say one path that connects to a different destination. But now I feel that you can go to that final destination through a lot of paths. So
Okay.
definitely, I think what is there in you, like a common thread that links your research interest and everything, that will always be there. That is something that defines you. Like for me, what I think was important is that I really liked my subject and I really liked exploring new things. So I never
Okay.
shied away from, taking new challenges. Like even the job that I'm doing right now, I literally have to spend one day every day reading about it because I have no background in immunology. So I have to look and do proper textbook reading. So
Okay.
yeah, there is something that will always define you that cannot be taken away from you no matter what path you are on. But yeah, alternative paths can exist. Though I don't know what I would have done. Maybe I would have started off differently or something. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great to know. Thank you for answering all the questions and having a chat with us.